evening, everybody. Welcome to Bottom Shelf Review. We have the infamous Cadillac Jack with us tonight. And we're going to talk about a little bit of bourbon and some cigars and see where this conversation takes us. As we all know, it's sponsored by Preet, 10th Mountain Whiskey, Bourbon, Real Will Easy, Bourbon Pat, W Energy. If you use the BarTalks with Big at checkout, you get 30% off your order. And Bottle to Bond, you get these nice cases and a mini glass that goes with it. They are impact resistant at 55 feet. They were tossed off a statue and nothing happened. So, and if you sign up on his website, you get 20% off the first order you place with him. So, welcome in, Cadillac Jack.
Well, thank you for having me.
How you doing this evening?
You know what? I'm doing absolutely wonderful. It was a long day.
Hang on one second. Hey, Alexa, skip this song. Hey, Alexa, stop playing the music. My Alexa just went crazy and it was like all static for some reason.
I heard that. I thought somebody was grinding some peanuts or something.
Cujo, what's going on? All right, so how you doing this evening? How's everything going?
Everything's going smooth. Had a long day at work, but hey, I'm here joining you with this very first 101 Q&A and conversations about the bottom shelf pours.
Absolutely. Well, I'm glad you joined us this evening. So why don't you, give us a little bit about yourself, a little bit of info about cigars, and I see you got a iconic Cigar Bros thing behind you, banner behind you. So why don't you give us a little bit about that too?
Well, a little bit about myself. Cadillac Jack is my moniker, what I go by, from a tot. But I've been into cigars since 1991. I was introduced by an employer I work with, and that's a long story in itself. But yes, I've been smoking cigars since 1991. As far as the iconic Cigar Bros and Sisters of the Leaf, that was an organization that a couple of brothers of mine started in 2019. And it just kind of grew from there. We went from being California homed, and then kind of branched out across the country. We have members in Texas, Oklahoma, New York, and pretty much, even abroad in England. And, it's just a bunch of like-minded individuals that appreciate the leaf. And as of recently, within the last 7 months, I found my way into marrying bourbon and the cigars, and it's just been a perfect fit ever since.
That's awesome. So if people want to find out more about the iconic Cigar Bros, how can they find out more information?
We're on all your social media sites. I don't know if I name them all, if something may happen, but you know what I mean. Mm-hmm. So you can find us here on TikTok and some of the others, all of the others. And,
okay.
We started out big where we're mostly on Facebook, so that's where the concentration of our platform and our engagement lies. So okay. If you look us up on Facebook, you'll find, like I said, most of our engagement there. We're also on IG and TikTok.
Okay. So if anybody's interested in looking that up, you can. So a little bit about bourbon and So I see you poured up Evan Williams just before we were getting this thing kicked off.
Right.
So is that Evan Williams bottled and bond, you say?
Yes. The Williams bottled and bond.
So
And for me, that's been like one of the great I call bottom shelf bangers. You know, along with a few others that I go to and I like. You know, Old Faithful, Old Granddad 114. That's I probably buy this bottle more than I do anything else on the shelf.
okay. So so are those your go-to pours every day, or are they just a like, let me start with today with this and then move on from there?
There you go. That's let me start the day off with this. You know, I may, you know, little 2 ounce pour, get warmed up, and move on to something else. Now it depends on what I'm smoking, the size of the cigar, the length, you know, time that I have. So I usually start with that, and I may work my way up, improve depending on what I'm smoking.
So let me ask you, if somebody was to start out, say with an Evan Williams or a old Granddad 114, let's stick with old Granddad 114 because you said you drink that the most.
Uh,
What kind of cigar would you pair that with?
well, either one of these drinks, I would pair this with for me, a full body because these are an high enough proof. They have enough complexity in their flavor to be able to stand side by side with a cigar that I pair it with.
Okay.
So,
So
like I said, a medium to full body cigar would work hand in hand.
okay, so if you say like a medium or full body cigar, can you give a little bit of an explanation on that? So for people who don't know about cigars?
Well, that would be pretty much the strength, the age of the tobacco, the region where it comes from. Some tobaccos are like your Connecticut's are lighter, um, so they smoke very light. They're not harsh. Some tobacco, let's say from Nicaragua or Dominican Republic, they could be a little bit more bolder. And you know, I have things like the wraps. This is a Maduro. These are Maduro wraps, and then you have a Connecticut, which is a very light, almost like a tan color wrap. That pretty much is for wine, I would say.
Hmm.
But for the most part, your darker wraps, full body, goes like I said, pairs very well with the complexity of your bourbon, especially a higher proof.
Okay. So how many cigars would you say you have smoked over the years from 1991 to now?
Uh, Too many to count, to be honest with you. I mean, there were days I would smoke 2 or 3 cigars a day, depending on the size of the cigar. Let's say if it's a 4.5 by 60, and 60 is your ring gauge. That's like how the gauge is, how fat it is, and 4.5 would be like the length of the stick. This right here would be a 6 by 60, and
Okay.
this is the perfect smoke for me. This probably lasts me an hour, hour and a half, depending on what I'm doing while I'm smoking it. Um, Shorter cigars, like if I'm taking a road trip, if I'm driving from one side of the town to the other, I may spark up a nub, which is like a 4.5 inch by 60.
Okay.
Because I know that'll be like a half hour smoke.
Okay.
So it just depends on what I'm doing. And when I say like 2 or 3 sticks a day, um, it all depends on the size.
Okay. So so what you're saying is the circumference of the cigar is the ring gauge. So that
Correct.
tells you about so 60. So what is the minimum that they come in and the maximum they come in?
You have something like a cigarillo, which looks like a cigarette, but it's a cigar. It's just cigarello because it's small.
Okay.
You have petites. You have 42 gauge. 50. I don't like to particularly smoke anything less than a 50 gauge because then I feel like I'm smoking a cigarette.
Okay.
So I like to keep it anywhere like a 52, 54, 6, or 60. Now, when we're talking about smoking 770s, that's like you need a lot of lung power. And, and I'm not trying to give it that all.
I can understand that.
You see what Heather wrote?
Yeah, I did. That's why I kind of chuckled while you were talking.
That's funny. That's funny. I like that. Heather, good humor.
Yeah, for sure. So we'll jump over to bourbon a little bit, then we'll come back to cigars. The so what makes you, let's say, attracted to, so to speak, to the 114 or the bottle and bond to start with?
Well, like I said, for one, it's a great pour for me. And it's a budget banger. I mean, it's not expensive. It's not like trying to go out and drink through some of your expensive pours like Jack Daniels or your Wellers. Those things. Some people can probably say, "Hey, that's my daily pour. That's my bottom shelf." But when you're on a budget, you can't go wrong with a budget banger.
Absolutely. So what are the flavors, or if you get any off of those, that keep you wanting to drink those ones besides other bottom shelf?
I mean, you get the oakiness, you get the caramel, you get some dark fruit notes, and maybe some chocolate, depending on which one. Mostly that's what I get from this, and like I said, it pairs very well with some of the cigars I smoke because they have some of the same flavor profiles.
Okay. So, what are some other bottom shelf bottles do you go to besides the old 14 and the Evan Williams?
I would say Benchmark Foolproof. Also, Early Times.
Okay. So let me ask you. Hang on 1 second. Blue top or black top?
I've never had the black top, so I only know about the blue top, and so this has been something recent when Whiskey Wilson made the comparison and turned me on to the black top, but I've never had the black top.
You've never had the black top. I can send you a shake of it.
Hey, well, I don't mind shakes.
Absolutely.
Yeah. So, and then even for me, the Four Roses small batch select is I consider bottom shelf.
What's up, Chad? Side. Absolutely. I'm gonna go. Yeah, I know. There's a whole lot of background and feedback. Yeah.
Is that me?
Yeah, I think it's you again, and it's picking up my wife talking too. Natasha, NYC. William LaRue Weller is a good bourbon to give as a gift. If that's what you're looking to give, then it would be a fantastic gift. If somebody would enjoy that, then they enjoy Wellers, and they would enjoy that as well. I think we talked about this last Monday, Natasha. So I'm sorry, we were talking about the Four Roses single barrel.
You and Natasha, or you and I?
No, you, Jack. I'm sorry.
Well, I was referring to, this is the small batch.
The small batch. I'm sorry.
Yeah, small batch select. So I think anything that's $30, $35 and below. I think we had a debate what's a price point for a bottom shelf bottle. For some people, it could be $40 and below. That tier.
Mm-hmm.
I just think Four Roses fits into that category.
That's understandable, and there is a debate that goes back and forth whether it is, the brand or the price. And I know we had talked about it a couple episodes ago that, really the price point would be like $35. And if we go by, thank you, Aaron. I just realized it said that you sent something. That if it goes, you can't go by the brand because sometimes there are a brand that would be considered a middle shelf that is at price point for bottom shelf stuff.
Right.
So I guess really we would go off of what the price point is, say $35. Thank you very much, Bourbon Papa. To be considered a bottom shelf. Now, I poured up this Benchmark 8. Have you ever had this before?
No, I've never had that one.
Okay. I'll send you some of that too.
Hey.
And I picked up that bottle for $15, I think it was.
See? I remember when I first, got into, I really got into the bottom bangers, taking them to like different events. Like if my guys are having a game night or something, and I say this, a lot of them don't really appreciate bourbon the way I do. So as long as a bottle of alcohol is coming in to the fold, they're good. But this and Early Time just happened to be a good hit. It just hits right for everybody. This one right here just really grabbed me. And I was getting this bottle for less than $20. I don't know what happened. Who saw social media? It shot up to $32 like in a week.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
I was like, wait, what happened? Did you misprice it or something at first and I got lucky?
No, they just started watching TikTok.
Something.
Yeah. For sure. So I know we talked. You said you would pair that with a Maduro.
Yes.
Okay. So what are the names signify? Like Maduro, Connecticut, Cigarillo, stuff like that.
That's usually just the color of the wrapper. Cigars come in fillers, binders, and wrappers. Wrapper is the color. Even the binder and the filler, depending on what's inside, can make the cigar. You can actually have a cigar with a lighter, like a Habano, which is a lighter wrapper than a Maduro, but just as strong. And the filling could be as strong. So when you get into your Connecticut's, like I said, that's light and kind of airy to me because I've been smoking so long. If it's Connecticut, it's like smoking hot air.
Okay.
Medium body is, you get a little bit more flavor, but yet it's easy palate, it's easy on the palate, whereas Maduro kind of gives you that nice punch, like you enjoy that ride.
Okay.
Like I said, it's compared to like your proofs from a low proof bourbon to your next level, anywhere between 100 and 115 to when you get to that 115 on up to like that 130, 135. So if you want to kind of compare it to that.
So what would you pair with, say, a 115 to a 160?
For me, easy. That's a Liga Privada. That's my go-to cigar. Liga Privada number 9 or a T52 or a Plasencia. I can just go down a whole list of cigars that would pair, LFD, ORO, even a good old Pappy Van Winkle cigar. This is an excellent smoke and goes well with any top tier cigar. Bourbon.
Ron said Cadillac is going to hate this. Drew Estates, Drew Estates, Drew Estates. Laugh out loud.
What's wrong with Drew Estates, Ron? I love Drew Estates.
I was just going to ask you about Drew Estates and see if it's something. Which one of the Drew Estates would you recommend to someone?
Well, as for you, that's Drew Estates carries the Deadwood line. So your Fat Bottom Betty's, your Crazy Alice, Sweet Baby Jane?
Yes, the Baby Jane, yeah.
Your Acids.
The girl with no name.
Yeah, but all those are Deadwood, but they ride under Drew Estates.
Okay.
Like I said, Legal Provider is a Drew Estate. Tabac. Tabac is a nice, I think, a coffee flavored cigar. That's usually my breakfast stick.
Okay. So Aaron is saying the color of the wrapper, natural color, or is it dyed, bleach, etc.?
It's aged. It's not neither or. And you don't really want to smoke anything that's artificial. That's why I don't like acid, because acid is not naturally sweet. It's sprayed.
So an acid cigar is sprayed?
Right. A lot of the flavors that you get out of acids, they're all sprayed on flavoring. It's not natural.
Mm-hmm. So,
and as far as the cigar, like she asked about the color, it's the leaf starts green, and as it's curing, it changes. It goes through a phase of color, and depending on when you take it off or where the leaf is grown, it could be a Connecticut broadleaf. It could be, Mexican San Andreas. It just depends on where it's grown, and the curing process will change the color the longer it cures.
Okay. So now the leaves don't become brittle?
No, because they're in a controlled environment. So you want to make sure the humidity is always the humidity has to be at a certain point. That's like when you bring a cigar home, you don't want to just leave it sitting out, stick it in the drawer. You want to have a humidor or Tupperware and put some humipacks in there, but you want to keep it in a controlled, humidified environment.
So what is a good humidity that a cigar should be at?
Some people like their cigars a little drier, so they want it at maybe a 62, 64. Some people like theirs a little bit moist, so it's like a 72. I prefer the 69.
Okay.
And I don't mean position, but I do.
I thought it. You said it. So what do you, I know you named off a few. What is a good humidor for somebody starting out?
There's not really one that I can just say off the top of my head. You can find humidors on Amazon, eBay. I have a winter. My humidor is a winter.
Okay.
I think it's WHYNTER. So I've had my humidor for about 6 years.
And how many cigars can a humidor hold? Like depending on size, I know, but
my humidor will hold 400 cigars if I have it fully stocked.
Wow.
And I can't keep no more than 150 in there because the high rotation. I haven't stocked it like I had been since introduced to bourbon. So
Right.
bourbon has taken away a little bit of my cigar money.
Which is understandable. I mean, you start getting your selection bigger and bigger, then you notice how much you're actually spending.
Well, yeah.
Yeah.
But like I said, and you can also use a nice size Tupperware.
Hmm.
You can store cigars in that as long as you get the what they call humipacks. So
Okay.
they're like Bovida humidifier packs, and you just put them in there.
Okay.
What's up, David?
What's going on, David? Welcome in, everybody. Welcome in. Thank
Welcome
you for
in.
all the taps.
Yeah,
I,
share the light. Share the light.
I see we're up to 3.9.
Share the light.
Appreciate everybody for tapping like crazy. We've been on here for about 35 minutes now. And, we talked about some cigars, and we're talking about some Evan Williams bottled at Bond, Old Granddad 114, some of this Benchmark 8. This Benchmark 8 is not bad. It's not bad. I mean, it's got your typical um, flavors to it.
Mm-hmm.
So if you were to just walk in your room right now and somebody says, "Hey, just grab me a bottle that's, what you consider bottom shelf," what are you
Well,
grabbing right away?
it's going to be either Old Granddad, Early Time, or the Evan Williams.
Okay.
You know,
I know we talked about that a couple times. I just wanted
right.
to see if it would change if you had just like 10 seconds to run and grab
Well,
something.
and if I had it on the shelf and it was available, it could be even Angel's Envy
Hmm.
or, like I said, the Four Roses small batch.
Okay. So about the iconic cigar, bros. I know you said it started back in 2019.
Right.
How much has it grown since then to now?
Um, In-house, and when I say in-house, those that are within the immediate area, we have about maybe 15 or 20 members.
Hmm.
Some of those members have already, branched out, moved to other states. But as a social media group, we grew rapidly, up to 3,200 members.
Okay.
Yeah. But like I said, locally in house, we have about 20 members, and we've had other members leave the state and go to Texas, and they're holding down Texas, Houston area, Katy, Dallas, up in Oklahoma. We have members that have, relocated up there. So
That's
we're pretty much all over.
that's awesome. That's awesome. Welcome in, Mike.
And
David
it's
Pitt.
not. Yeah,
Go
it's
ahead.
not just a club or an organization. We're an organization with purpose. We do a lot of things for the community. We do socks and blanket giveaways for Thanksgiving. We do toy drives for, during Christmas, and we set up large boxes at different cigar lounges.
Hmm.
And, we have those boxes filled or whatever we can get in the boxes, and we take these boxes to the fire department, and we donate them to the fire department, and they distribute them to the needy families.
That's awesome.
And we also do cancer awareness kind of situations. We do a cancer awareness month theme. We usually have cancer awareness shirts made, and um, different things like that, where we honor people that have survived, because we have members that are survivors also.
Okay. Now, are those shirts available to anybody, or is it just for the members?
As of right now, the shirts are usually, like, if you want to say seasonal. We haven't really produced anything as of anymore lately, so we're gonna get back into doing that soon. So we're trying to get it set up where you can get it on Etsy.
Okay.
So once they become available, we'll have everything. All merch will be available on Etsy, from hoodies to t-shirts, tank tops, even blends, um, just different things. Different items will be available. Hats.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
That's awesome. And to answer David Pitt's statement in here, he said, if any of you come to my house, I'm not pulling out, grabbing bottom shelf. Just saying. And David Pitt, that goes without saying. If anybody were to show up in my house and say, "Hey, let's have a drink," anything I have on any of my shelves is open to anybody, whether it's open or not. You can open it and drink it, have a good time, and enjoy yourself.
And it's the same in my house. I mean, I don't, if it's up there and it's not covered up or hidden, that means it's available.
Correct.
I mean, I have a bottle or two that I don't even want to crack myself right now. That's because I can't find a backup for it. That's the only reason.
Okay.
And that would be my Jack Daniel's single barrel heritage barrel. That's I can't find a backup for that, so I don't want to open that and just spread the love like I did Jack 10 and 12.
And that's understandable. Everybody has their, one or two bottles or even 10 bottles that they don't have and they don't want to, open it up. For me, I open everything that I get, just about everything. Let me rephrase that. Because I don't, I will never finish all these bottles by myself for sure.
Oh, definitely, and I feel the same way. It's just that some bottles I was mad that I went through as fast as I did. Just like my Joseph Magnus cigar blend. I opened that bottle and it was gone in 30 minutes.
Wow.
And I may have gotten 2 pours out of it.
That's understanding.
Yeah, so at a blink of an eye, it was like, and that was the bottle that sent me down the rabbit hole.
Okay.
Yeah, that Joseph Magnus cigar blend. That was the starter of it all. And I was, like I said, kind of upset that I didn't save any more of that for myself.
That's completely understandable. That's completely understandable. So,
hey, everybody enjoyed the love. That's all that mattered.
Correct. And bourbon's meant to be shared.
Yes.
So I get it. So Joe, the Magnus cigar blend is the one that got you into bourbon?
Well, not so much. Yeah, well, yes. At an extent where I'm at now.
Okay.
I mean, I've always had bourbon. I've always, without knowing the culture behind the bourbon, not knowing the artistry or the craftsmanship behind the bourbon. So I've always had like Uncle Nearest, even Four Roses, Basil Hayden, some of these things. We're sitting in the cigar lounge and that's what we're sipping on and smoking cigars, not really paying much attention to what it is we're drinking. But that Joseph Magnus was like, it flipped the switch, so to say.
Yeah, that's understandable.
And it was on from there.
That's understandable. I mean, there's always that one.
And that was it.
Yeah, absolutely. For me, I talked about this before. For me, and that's for sure, Heather. Fat Man and I have bottles open. We drink and we share. And that's for sure. That is for sure. As to a lot of people, they do share, and Fat Man and Heather for sure will. You talk about 1 or 2 handshakes, and a whole box shows up at your door.
Hey, don't I know?
Yeah, I know too. I
Yeah.
know too. I talked to Fat Man about two different shakes, and 12 showed up in my house.
Hey, sharing is caring, and they care.
For sure. I mean, Aaron too. We were talking about Hard Truth Maple Brulee, and Widow Jane, and all of a sudden, a 12 pack of Handshake showed up at my house. Jay Siegel too. I mean, there's a lot of them.
Gotta love it, and that's why I say, I have only drams. You
Mhm.
know, for those that are looking for something that want to experience anything different, go on only drams, Cadillac Jack. Hit me in the DM and say, look, you, I haven't tried that. I would like to, and let's go from there.
Heather said, Cadillac, Fat Jack, Fat Man sent you what's in my bottom shelf. Laugh out loud.
Right. And see, I know what Heather's bottom shelf looks like. She said we have stomachs of a trash eating panda or something. I forgot what it was.
Yeah, she said we have the palate of a trash panda. Yeah,
Right. And
yeah.
then she showed her bottom shelf, and I was like, man, I like to raid that bottom shelf.
So Derek is asking, what's Only Drams? Only Drams is an app where you can scan all your bottles, and other people can go on there and look up the name and see what you have, and then you can do the same for them, is look and see what they have, and if they have something you would like, you talk to them about shakes and stuff like that. So Aaron said it would be Fat Man's top ? Jay Siegel says somebody's a hater. New Bourbon Hunter said easy, Jack. So anybody else have any questions in regards to cigars or bottom shelf? Derek, absolutely. But once you get the app set up, and then you can scan your barcodes on your bottles, it goes pretty quick.
It goes fast. I think I did like 90 bottles in less than a half hour.
Yeah. I actually have to start scanning some. I've been slacking on it.
And I did that. I said, well, I have to do some dusting on my shelf, so I put all my bottles on my table, and that was the opportunity for me to scan everything as I reorganized.
Absolutely, Aaron. It's a decent app. There's a lot of people that use it too.
Right.
And then it also will upset you if you have more than 50 bottles, to see how much you actually spent on the bottles and the value of everything you have. Then you're like, wow, I actually spent that much.
Right, because it will give you actual MSRP cost and secondary costs. Jay Siegel, you don't need to look at my only drams. You know what's on the shelf over here. This guy, he's a character.
For sure, for sure.